Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the new screensavers is provided by CashFly at CACHEFLY.com. The new screensavers is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. When it comes to the big decision of choosing a mortgage lender, work with one that has your best interest in mind. Use Rocket Mortgage for a transparent, trustworthy home loan process that's completely online at quickenloans.com/NSS.
Turn your iPhone into a mixed reality headset, the latest on the Nintendo Switch, and we review the Oculus Touch controllers. Live from the Twit East Side Studios in beautiful Petaluma, it's the new Screensavers!
Screensavers. I'm Leo Laporte, and look who's here.
I'm Nathan Olivarez-Giles.
Say that again.
Nathan Olivarez-Giles.
Oh, see, I don't do the r, so I got to do that. Nathan Olivarez-Giles.
I guess.
Is that right?
I don't think about it.
It just happens. It comes out that way. Yeah. Anyway, Nate's here. We love Nate from the Wall Street Journal. It's always good to see you. Welcome.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.
Episode 87 for January 14th, 2017. Have you gotten used to writing 2017 on your checks yet?
No, I'm still messing it up. 2016.
Do you write checks?
No, but, you know, like entering stuff on calendars and all that kind of, apps. Yeah.
In my day, when the only way you could pay somebody was you'd write them a piece of paper with the date on it.
Yeah.
This was a big, couple of weeks where you would just get it wrong every time.
Yeah, I have a fresh checkbook that's been sitting there for about a year and a half collecting dust on top of my dresser. Yeah.
I was wondering, does anybody really write checks anymore?
I pay my rent with PayPal.
Right. Right.
That's what
crazy.
It is. Yeah.
We got a good show. And I'm so glad you're here because you brought the Oculus Rift and the new touch controllers, which I haven't seen yet.
These are awesome.
Transforms the experience, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, night and day. This is what Oculus Rift should have been from launch.
And speaking of VR, I know a lot of people who use iPhones have felt a little bit left behind with the VR revolution with the Gear VR and the Google Daydream. We got a company called Occipital here who's making a VR and AR headset. You played with it. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
For iPhone users, so that'll be fun. We're going to go to Detroit, the Motor City. Tim Stevens of CNET's Roadshow was at the International Auto Show in Detroit, and we're going to get a review of some of the things he saw there.
It's becoming more of a techie auto show, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A couple of great reviews coming up for you. We've got a call from. It's going to be a big show. But I think the biggest announcement of the week. Look at your smile.
I'm stoked. Nintendo Switch.
Smile.
Nintendo Switch.
See, I think it's
such
generational. Because I didn't grow up with a Nintendo.
Yeah.
I was an Atari kid, maybe the 2600, and I wasn't a kid either. But people who played Mario in their formative years, this is a big deal.
This is a big deal, and to a certain extent, I bought the Wii U, the previous generation Nintendo console. I feel a little bit like a sucker because I bought it for Zelda, I bought it for Mario, and there wasn't much more to play.
It was disappointing.
It was disappointing.
Yeah.
But I've already actually pre-ordered this 3 times because I wanted to make sure, like, in case Amazon or Best Buy or GameStop fell through, whatever. That's a little bit excessive and a little bit dumb, but this is where I'm at. It's like, as long as they're putting out these games,
you can sell one to me. I'll buy one.
All right. But I really hope they get some third-party developers here.
Right now, it's just the new Zelda and
Mario's coming later this year.
That's gonna sell some.
Oh yeah, for sure. Mario Kart's coming by April.
$300, March 3rd, it'll be available. But you know who was really lucky? This one right here, Christina Warren from Gizmodo, because she was at the event. Hi, Christina.
Hey there.
Great to see you.
To be here.
So tell us about the event.
It was so fun. I had a blast. It was definitely one of those things where, like, I was wearing my Nintendo Vans at the event. Like, that's how much of like a fangirl I was. I had my NES high tops on.
Oh,
no,
I saw those, by the way. The R2-D2. Or no, it looked like R2-D2, and then you
NES,
said it was
it
the
kinda
NES
did.
controller. That's right.
It was the NES controller. Yeah. So
Yeah,
no,
I've got
it
a pair of
was,
those too.
Right? Yeah. So you get it. I didn't have a chance to pre-order because I was at the event. That was the one downside. So now I'm kind of screwed. I'm like, how am I going to get this thing?
So what is this? Is it mobile? Is it a console? I don't understand.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's both.
Yes.
So it's both.
Okay.
So it's both. So the idea, I mean, the way Nintendo's positioning it, I think, is really more of kind of, like the Wii U successor, except hopefully people, won't feel, screwed this time around. But the idea is that basically it has a dock that connects to your TV. And the system itself is like a 6.2-inch tablet. So when the tablet is docked in, it is able to, have 1080p graphics connected to your TV. But when you lift it out, as you'll see in just a second on this video,
that's
then you can
cool.
play mobile. So it's both. So they're not necessarily positioning it like a 3DS successor yet. But I think they probably will, because looking at it and seeing how easy it was to use in both modes, I was really impressed. I was kind of concerned going into it. I was like, is this going to be like with the Wii U, where they had that, controller that had, the tablet where you could conceivably be in one part of your house and play mobilely, but the switch off never really worked correctly for me with the Wii U. In my limited time with the Switch, it did, and that was really impressive. Like during the Zelda demo, they literally had a point where they were like, okay, you're playing on the TV, now attach it to the tablet and pull it off and start resuming exactly where you're playing.
So the game didn't pause or like hiccup or anything like that. It was seamless. It kept going.
It was seamless. Yeah,
Awesome.
It was completely seamless. Like it paused, but it only paused so that you didn't like lose your place.
Yeah,
Do you
that makes
see
sense.
yourself doing that a lot?
I don't know. I kind of could, to be totally honest, just because I was surprised by, even though it was a little bit heavier than the Wii U controller, it wasn't as heavy as I thought it would be. And it was nice to be able to play something like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which
What's the case for this? Like you have to go to the bathroom? I don't.
No, I mean, it's not just.
What's the use case here? Why would you be playing on your living room on your TV and then suddenly get up and take it with you?
Because you want to go someplace else. Like, if you're traveling, you're on an airplane, you're on a bus, you're in a taxi,
All right.
You want to go over to somebody's house and play.
Or even on the train to work, maybe,
Yeah, exactly. On your way to work, on your commute. Kids in the back seat of the car, are annoying you. They want to play video games. So, I mean, the same reason that you would have a 3DS XL or, play.
So it's as if you had a 3DS that you could put on the TV.
Yeah. If you're in the,
Is it mobile first, you think?
No. I mean, I think it's both. I mean, I think that they're really, most of the demos they showed were connected to the TV. They did have a few tabletop demos, and they had instances like I played Mario Kart in what looked like a diner where everybody was like sitting at a table and we were all playing Mario Kart against each other. And they had situations set up like if you're on a bus or if you're on an airplane, like they recreated the airplane seat experience so you could see how easy it would be to play. But I don't necessarily think that it's mobile first. I think the graphics, we haven't gotten a ton of information about specs yet, which is sort of concerning, but the graphics I saw definitely looked good. They're using NVIDIA's Tegra X1 variation of that processor, so it's going to be very good for kind of a mobile or kind of maybe Android-based gaming system. It's not Android-based, but putting it into those terms, it's not going to be as powerful as what we've seen with the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4. Not to mention the upcoming consoles from those guys. But the graphics were still very good. Like Zelda was a ton of fun. Zelda's a launch title. That's been in development for years. I only had about 10 or 15 minutes with it, and it was really good. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is basically the same as the Wii U version, but now it's got all the DLC and some extra modes. They had other games on display too. One of the more fun things they have is with these Joy-Con controllers, which are really the heart of the system. There's a game called 1-2 Switch, and it kind of reminds me of Wii Sports for the original Wii, in that it's got all these mini games, and one of them you are actually milking a cow against a competitor.
I saw your video of that. That was just
it looks
creepy,
ridiculous, but also
so
kind of fun. It looks like
So
really
fun.
silly and fun.
And
Like
by
if-
the way, it was a tie.
Yeah, it was. It was a tie. It was a tie, which was we both were able to milk those udders at the same time. You're right. It was creepy, but it was fun. That was the big thing for me, right? Like, I don't know about you, but the Wii U, I really wanted it to be great, and then it wasn't, and it never had that sense of fun that I had from the Wii. With just a couple of hours.
There you are.
Yeah, there I am. My hat.
The hats are
couple
sold
that
separately, right? Those don't come included.
Well, what else doesn't come included is any games, right? I got the impression, oh, great, this will come with the new Zelda. No.
I was hoping
300 bucks,
1-2
no
Switch
game.
would be the pack-in game because it
Yeah,
kind
I
of
would
shows
think
off the
1-2 Switch.
capabilities. Yeah.
You know what? I would think. I bet if we wait until Christmas, they'll have a thing that'll have a pack-in game with that, because you're right. 1-2 Switch is totally one of those.
You wouldn't want to
games.
buy it standalone so much, yeah.
It shows off the power. There's like a draw game where you pull out the controller and you aim it at one another and see who first. Exactly. There was one where you throw a sword down the middle and see if somebody can catch it in their hands by clapping their hands. Those Joy-Con controllers are really unique because they can kind of be used as a regular controller when you have it on the grip, and so which is kind of like the housing dock for the controller. They can be moved to the side of the tablet, but they can also be used, either one in each hand or used in single hand as two-player controllers to kind of play stuff. And they've got sensors in them. One of them has a motion sensor, so it can actually, tell what symbol your hand is making. It apparently can tell the difference between rock, paper, and scissors. And they didn't have anything to show that off, but you could see that in the future they could build a game where it could kind of tell the difference if you're going like this or like this or like this. And that's interesting. So there's NFC built into
if you think
things
rock,
too.
paper, scissors is interesting.
How small are those controllers? I have a little bit of concern over the size of them. They look kind of tiny.
Yeah, okay, so you should definitely be concerned if you're going to play it horizontally, which would be like a worst case scenario. That would be like if two people are wanting to play Mario Kart against one another, or if you're playing certain games, you could play one, hold it in your hand horizontally. I'll say this, I have very small hands. When I was playing it horizontally, my thumb started to hurt. My left thumb started to hurt. Having said that, when it's either on either side of the tablet or when it's on that Joy-Con grip controller, which is how you'll usually be using it, it felt great. It felt just fine. I had no problem with the size.
It's kind of like the little controllers you get on the airplane.
Yeah.
To play the airplane games.
It really was. And so again, if you're going to be using it horizontally, and if you're going to be using it like this, it's going to be super tiny and it's probably going to hurt your thumbs after a while. But if you're using it either one in each hand, kind of like Wii U nunchuck style or Wii nunchuck style, or if you're going to be using it on the grip that it comes with, I think it's completely fine.
Which is what you'd be doing at home anyways, right?
Exactly. Or if you're going to be doing it on the go and not playing it tabletop mode, on the tablet, it was fine. Having one in each hand. It was only a problem when I had it in my hand horizontally when I was playing the Sonic game. Yeah. I was like, this is a little bit tight. It's Steven Totillo from Kotaku did a size comparison, and he found that it was smaller than the Game Boy Micro, if you remember that.
Oh, that was pretty small. Yeah.
So it's tiny, but only when you're using it in that horizontal mode. When you're using it either vertically or attached to the grip, it's completely fine.
Do you have any insight on battery life? That's a little bit of a concern for me. Same.
I'm concerned too. I mean, they're saying that it's going to be 2.5 to 6 hours. That's all they would say. Zelda apparently is going to have like 3 hours battery life. The more
graphically intensive.
Exactly. The more it's going to do. So if you're playing a game, like this new Street Fighter or
I like it that it's Type C though. I think a lot of people will have Type C.
That makes sense.
Cars even,
Yeah.
Completely. Well, no, the fact that it's Type C, the fact the new Pro controller is Type C, that's really good. The fact that it does local multiplayer, and up to 8 can connect at once. And in fact, a lot of the demos they were showing, we were playing against other people.
Wait a minute, you could have 8 people, each with their own Switch, playing against each other?
It's never going to happen, but that's never going to happen. Well, actually, okay, take that back.
No, it's going to happen.
Tournament scenarios, you could honestly see people doing that there. So, I mean, I think but in a normal situation, you're not going to be out and about, be like, oh, hi, friend, bring out your Switch and let's all, have 8 of us playing against one another. I don't know. I liked it. It's a lot of fun. That was the big thing for me. It reminded me so much of playing the original Wii because it had kind of that sense of whimsy. And if the third-party developers can show up, which I think is crucial, and it doesn't just turn into a Nintendo franchise console, which was the problem with the Wii U, I think that this could be really popular just because that Switch mechanism does work so well, and because I think that there are some interesting ideas that you can have when you have the sensors in those controllers, and so there's interesting stuff that can happen. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but then again, I was excited about the Wii U, but this felt different.
It seems like the market is going to be less kids and much more you two, nostalgia.
Yeah.
Nintendo nostalgia fans, especially at that price point, and with a lack of, frankly, with a lack of games.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I think that's how it starts, and I think maybe their goal would be, okay, start with like the two of us who are
The
kind
hardcore audience, yeah.
and who grew up with Nintendo and had the disposable income to do it, and then maybe have that circle back to, like, I don't have kids, but other people my age do. Maybe their kids would enjoy playing it. And
remember though how much Microsoft struggled with the Xbox One at that higher price point and effectively got beat by the PlayStation 4 for over $100.
And
this category is very price sensitive.
It's very price sensitive, and they're also launching in the middle of a console generation when new consoles from Sony and Microsoft are coming with 4K and HDR and all these things that the Switch isn't going to have. So I also have questions over the fact that, a lot of people are happy playing games on their phone, and if they have a console at home, they probably already have one. So it's like, does anyone want this middle ground?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll remain to be seen. I think that $300, I was excited by the idea that it might be $250. I thought that might have been
Me too.
A better price. Even if the $50 difference, I feel like that could have been a better place for them. Having said that, I think there are people who are not going to be buying this as a secondary console, but don't have an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, and they really want to play Mario. They really want to play Zelda. They like the idea of being able to have a portable console too. There might be a market for that. And I think, though, the success of the NES Classic Edition shows that, especially since a lot of the games that were shown off were kind of, updates to classic titles, there's an appetite for that. How big is that appetite? I don't know, and I think that's why they're going to be.
That's what's kept Nintendo going all this time, isn't it? I mean, really, they've been struggling against the Xbox and the PlayStation, but you two
we keep buying it.
Have kept it alive.
I mean, I have so many concerns, and I've already pre-ordered.
Not even families. I mean, families that bought the Wii and said, "Yeah, that was fun for a few weeks, but we give up." Didn't buy the Wii U. You guys did, and you know what? Even as disappointing as the Wii U was, you're still clamoring to get the Switch.
Well, as their kids got older, they wanted an Xbox. They wanted Minecraft. They wanted
Halo. One last
Halo.
question: how important is it to Nintendo that this succeed? Is this a make or break?
Yeah, I kind of think it is. I hate to say that, but I kind of think that it is. I mean, at least unless they do a true 3DS XL successor. If they wanted to do a completely separate, handheld, they might be in a different scenario. But I think for a console, like for a traditional console, I kind of think that it is, because
they may still have a business doing apps as they did with Mario Run.
Because I think that if people don't respond to this. And so far, people have been more excited about this than they ever were for the Wii U, and that's a good thing. But if people don't respond to this, I think it would be really hard for them to go into yet another console cycle where they're behind, because they haven't competed against specs basically since the GameCube, and and that was 15 years ago. So I think that this is going to be their make or break console moment. The reason I'm cautiously optimistic, even taking off my fangirl goggles, was just because I did get that sense that I had with the Wii that I didn't have with the Wii U. And so I think that even some of the sillier games, that's the sort of thing that can get casual gamers involved. I think that, the original price point, I don't love it. I would love for it to be a little bit cheaper, but you could see if they could get, for the holiday season, maybe get it down a little bit and bundle in 1-2 Switch. You could see people who are looking for a casual console and don't necessarily want everything else, but want to be able to play the Mario games and like the idea of being able to take it with them. You could see that maybe being a compelling holiday item for 2017.
Christina, thank you so much. You were so lucky you got to see that. Christina Warren, and she wore the red.
I'm a little jealous. I wish I was
he
there.
even had the shoes, and he couldn't go.
I'm out here in San Francisco. I need to be in New York, clearly.
You need to be in New York.
Gotta go.
Catch the great review and the video that Christina made at Gizmodo.com. Thank you, Christina Warren. Always a pleasure to have you on. It's interesting because you can only go so far being a nostalgia play, right? You guys are going to get older and older. Pretty soon you're just not going to care anymore. And if you don't get the young people excited so that there's a next generation, and it seems like the 3DS is still a good seller. I mean,
the 3DS is still a good seller, and I have some questions about this. As Christina brought up, will there be a true successor to the 3DS? This being a hybrid home and portable console.
Sounds like it's there.
Will those 3DS people come over and those Wii U people, and will that be enough to make up for?
It's not as compact as a 3DS.
It's not. It's not, and the battery life is way less.
Yeah.
So there are obviously some trade-offs here, but they have to both keep the nostalgia folks like me involved, but you got to get
New
those
generation.
gamers that they've lost, and you got to, create new Nintendo fans, and that's been a struggle for them lately.
But you can't get it now, right? It's well beyond. I mean, if you didn't order it yesterday, I tried on Amazon and said, no, we don't have them.
Yeah, it's sold out at Best Buy, Amazon, and GameStop.
But
and
this guy has 3.
Oh, I pre-ordered 3 places, and my friends who weren't able to get them, I'm basically going to
They're
sell
loving
them the
you.
console.
They're gonna just to remember who gave you a Mac Pro. Just telling you. I'm just saying. Okay?
There you go.
Just saying.
There you
I'm just
go.
saying. Hey, speaking of a Mac Pro, the MacBook Pro is now This is so confusing. It's
pretty
now
ridiculous.
a recommendation from Consumer Reports. Consumer Reports, for the first time in memory, failed to recommend the MacBook Pro last week.
Because the battery life was so bad.
Well, it was not even bad. It was inconsistent. Like it would go from one thing to another.
Yep.
Apple said you're testing it wrong.
You're doing it wrong.
Because Consumer Reports went into the developer options and turned off the cache, because their test basically is load a lot of pages over Wi-Fi.
And we do a similar test when we're doing battery life on everything, laptops, phones, whatever.
So they felt like caching is going to give you false results. We wanted to get it to hit the network every time.
Yep.
So they turned it off, and thereby discovering a new and little known bug that Apple found and fixed. They gave an updated Safari to Consumer Reports. And frankly, it was Consumer Reports' fault in the first place. They should have noticed that not only were the tests all over the place, but they even mentioned, and for some reason when we use Chrome, we get great battery life. That should have been a red flag. Apple got them to change to retest, and now they've changed their recommendation. So my experience, though, with the MacBook Pro is that battery life is all over the place. I find it to be very inconsistent.
In our testing, it was less than the previous generation, which is, frankly, unacceptable. I mean, it's a beautiful machine in just about every other way. Obviously, there are questions over just having USB-C ports and nothing else. But
I think the Touch Bar is a joke.
You think so, huh?
Absolutely. It doesn't add to functionality, and worse, I keep hitting it by accident. And it's just, it was clearly a gimmick designed to assuage people who wanted Apple to do a touch MacBook Pro. This is not it. I love Touch ID. Great to have a fingerprint reader.
Overdue.
Long overdue. Everybody else has done it for years. I really dislike the Touch Bar, and I wish they'd offer a high-end MacBook Pro without the Touch Bar, but they don't.
I don't understand why Apple is so hesitant to put a touchscreen in laptops and on the iMac when they were the ones who really kicked off the touchscreen with the original iPhone.
I think that's the problem. They've got iOS. They don't want to cannibalize iOS.
Yeah.
I agree with a number of people, including I think it was Jean-Louis Gasset in his Monday note, who said, was that who was? Or I can't remember. Who said, no, maybe it was Ben Thompson of Stratechery, Apple's not going to ever do a touchscreen Mac OS device. They're just going to ride the Mac OS into the sunset until the point where iOS, the touch first version, is as capable as a Macintosh. And then bye-bye Macintosh. And that makes me sad, because we love our Macs.
That makes me sad too. I mean, I'm a journalist, I'm a writer, but I also shoot and edit photos and videos, sometimes for work, sometimes personally. And the Mac has always been that creative machine. And now you're seeing stuff from Microsoft, with
Go play with my Surface, Surface Studio. It's awesome.
Exactly. And it's like you see that and you're like, I want that, and I'm already in this Mac ecosystem. Why not Apple? I wonder if it's going to be too late for them by the time they get around to that.
Yeah.
Because they're losing creatives.
It is the 10th anniversary, and we commemorated on several of our shows of this, the original iPhone. It was on January 9th, 2007 that Steve Jobs came on stage in that very famous keynote where he announced 3 new products: a widescreen iPod, a phone, and a internet communicator, and of course they were all in one. And this changed the world in ways that I don't even think Steve, Apple, or any of us realized. This became such an iconic product that everybody copied it immediately. Google famously withdrew its plans for its Android phone and went back to the drawing board when they saw the iPhone. I'm glad to have this. That's a very important piece of tech history. Although, compare it, this is the iPhone 7 in size. By the way, good battery life on the it's for 10 years now. It's been holding that battery. In size, it's just, I mean, and thicker. But at the time, remember, consider.
Oh man, that is, talk about nostalgia. This is my favorite gadget of all time. I had one. My dad got it for me actually as a college graduation gift.
That's neat. Do you still have it?
I do.
Is it engraved?
No, it's not engraved, but it was email and calendar. I had just moved to New York. I had email, calendar, and maps. I thought I had everything I ever needed.
Yeah.
And I actually went from the iPhone 1 to the 4S. That's how much I love this thing. I held on to it way too long, especially for a tech reporter. But I still have mine, and I love this thing.
That's a great anniversary, and it's really changed the tech universe in 10 years. I would agree with you. Probably the most important tech product ever made. 10 years ago this week. All right, it is time to find out about what's coming next from the Motor City. Tim Stevens is the host of CNET's Roadshow, and he was at the weirdly named North American International Auto Show in Detroit, which follows immediately after CES. And he joins us right now via Skype. Am I right? There he is. Hey, Tim Stevens.
How are you, Leo?
How was it?
It was cold.
And this coming from a guy who lives in Upper New York State. That's saying something.
Yeah, it's always a little bit chilly and windy, especially coming out of Las Vegas. Every year I do the double. I go straight from Las Vegas up to Detroit, and it's always a bit of an adjustment. But a lot of good cars, a lot of cool stuff to see on the show floor, and it's actually a nice place to be after CES. CES is such a madhouse. Auto shows are a little bit calmer, a little bit nicer, and it was a good place to be for sure.
I always ask this question about CES. Did you see any trends at the auto show? Anything we should be looking for in the years to come?
Definitely a lot of people talking autonomy, of course. That was one of the big trends. We're getting closer and closer. And in fact, Volvo actually handed over the first of its autonomous cars to a consumer. So the first time we've actually seen a fully autonomous car given over to a consumer to drive. They're launching their Drive Me program in Sweden, which is a fleet of 100 fully autonomous XC90 prototype cars that they're giving to 100 families in Volvo's hometown of Gothenburg, Sweden. Those cars on the highway will drive themselves completely autonomously. The first time that you'll be able to get in a car, hit a button on the steering wheel, and at that point you can read a book, take a nap, do whatever you want to do. And they actually handed the first one of those over to a family. They flew the family over from Sweden to Detroit to pick up their XC90, and then they're going to fly them all back again.
So this is level 4 autonomy? I mean, they could get in the back seat and take a nap?
Only on the highway and in very limited circumstances where basically they worked with the municipality of Gothenburg to put all the sensors they need basically to deploy everything in the highway and only work, again, on the ring highways around Gothenburg.
So it's a very
but on those highways, in good conditions.
Yeah, it's a constrained environment. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Still, that's a big moment. That's a breakthrough moment, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely historic, and it's, I don't think a couple of years ago any of us thought that we'd have fully autonomous cars on the highway in 2017. So it's pretty impressive. Again, very, very limited circumstances, but actually have them in the hands of consumers, it's impressive stuff.
There you are. You're in it. You're riding it.
Yeah, that was an early demo I got about 18 months ago of one of their pre-production models, basically showing the same basic technology in and around Gothenburg. So basically the same idea. The cars don't have a ton of sensors on the roof or anything like that. They're basically using all the same sensors that the current Volvos have. This prototype model did, but the XC90 that we saw in Detroit looked like a normal XC90, other than some rather loud graphics they stuck on the side.
But no LiDAR sticking up over the roof.
No big cameras and boxes.
Yeah, none of the roof rack stuff, none of that stuff. But there was another big announcement in Detroit, which was John Kravchuk, speaking of autonomy. He's Waymo's CEO. Waymo is Google's former self-driving car project, now spun off as its own company. He showed off Pacifica, which they're working with Fiat Chrysler to develop. And that car has a sensor suite on the roof that Google developed in-house, and they're saying that will cost 90% less than the off-the-shelf systems that companies like Ford and Audi and others are using. So taking the cost down from about $75,000 to outfit a car with full LiDAR and radar down to somewhere under $10,000, which is a huge savings. And for Google to take that on and do that development in-house shows they're pretty committed to this.
Was that subsidized, or is this just something that they, through engineering, have found the way to lessen the cost of?
It's just through their engineering, basically. They really wanted to bring that cost down, and they felt like the stuff that was coming off the shelf wasn't exactly configured to what they needed. So by building their own sensors, by building their own systems, they're able to drive the cost down a lot.
90%.
So that's really impressive stuff.
That's a huge drop.
Now, this is still early days, but was there any chatter at the show about how these different independent systems will work together once more on the road? I mean, it's still testing at this point, but there's always that lingering question of how different cars will talk to one another once multiple self-driving cars are on the road.
Yeah, that's definitely a big concern. Vehicle-to-vehicle communications is a big topic of discussion right now. Toward the end of last year, the federal government basically said that in the near future, they're going to start regulating that cars have some kind of in-car wireless communications to talk to each other. This is actually something that's been going on for almost 20 years now, that the federal government has been researching ways to make cars talk to each other. But it just hasn't really gone anywhere due to cost and technical limitations and things like that. So we are getting closer, but most of the autonomous cars we see on the road right now are being developed to be independent of that. You know, Google's car, Volvo's cars, and others can work without any of that wireless communications in place at all. Basically because things are taking so long to come to fruition on that front. So in theory, they'll treat each other like normal cars at this point, and then down the road a little bit, hopefully they'll be able to talk to each other and actually do things like smart platooning, where they go on the highway and drive really, really closely to each other to save fuel because of aerodynamic benefits and things like that. But there are a few testing facilities where actually multiple manufacturers can get together. One of them is in Michigan called M-City, part of the University of Michigan, where multiple manufacturers can go onto this small city. It's basically fake buildings and that kind of thing, but they can actually put their cars together and test them. And that's a really progressive and a great thing, and I hope that more manufacturers will go to places like that and make sure that their cars play nicely together.
For the family looking for something a little bit more practical, the Honda Odyssey has, we were joking about this, has some new features. Tell us about it.
So there's been a lot of buzz around new tech in minivans. Chrysler relaunched the Pacifica a couple years back and impressed a lot of people with some cool technology in there. Honda kind of raised the bar a little bit this year with some new tech. So they've got rear seat infotainment systems so your kids can keep up to date, and lots of tech and all kinds of other cool stuff. But the most interesting talking point is an in-car night vision camera system. We see lots of cameras on the outside of cars now, checking blind spots and giving you 360 parking views. But the cameras here are actually mounted in the roof, so you can see what's going on in the middle row and in the back row, even in the pitch black. So you can, of course, the basic idea is to make sure your kids are sleeping fine. But if kids are fighting in the back seat, you can basically flip on the camera and from the driver's seat see what's going on in the back of the van. And there's an in-car intercom system too, so you can actually yell at the kids in the back seat without having to raise your voice.
They're right there. They're right there.
Does it do like a cool Darth Vader voice? Like, why would you want to use this intercom versus just yelling at your kids yourself?
To download voice modifications. Yeah, I mean, I think part of the fun of that is actually getting to yell, but you don't have to. You can either have your voice thrown back using the speakers in the back of the van, or you can actually speak directly into the wireless headsets.
That's the advantage. Because I have to say, that has been my experience, is you can't talk to your kids anymore because they're wearing headphones. And you do have to get their attention. So if you could speak into the headphones, that I now understand.
How weird is it that minivans are like the cutting edge space for cars right now? We have the Pacifica, we have the Odyssey.
Have kids, young man. Wait till you have children.
This is the least cool car class you can have, and this is where all the innovation's happening.
That's right.
They definitely are uncool, but in a lot of ways, this is actually the closest thing to what we think autonomous cars are going to look like, because minivans are basically living rooms on wheels. And so that's what we think autonomous cars are going to be like, really just these kind of wide open, reconfigurable spaces. And Honda showed up a lot of interesting things with seats that slide forward and backward and side to side, so you can center your kids in the rear seat or give more room if you have two adults in the middle row. But basically, we think autonomous cars are going to be a lot like that. And so it kind of makes sense that a lot of this tech is being pushed into minivans, even though minivans themselves are a bit of a dying breed. Most people buy SUVs these days.
This reminds me of, did you ever see the movie Get Shorty? And John Travolta, he's a gangster, and he's unfortunately stuck because all he could get was a minivan. Do you have my audio on this? It's the Cadillac of minivans. He shows Danny.
A Pontiac, I think it was, right?
Hey, Chili, is this your ride? Yeah, I'd like to sit up high, check everything out. I mean, it is the Cadillac of minivans. Yeah, check this out.
This, my friends, is why you drive.
Cutting edge stuff. Cutting edge stuff. Don't even have to open a door.
Tell us about VW's ID Bus concept car.
So Volkswagen in a little bit of hot water at the moment with Dieselgate, trying to inspire some good faith and renew some good memories. So bringing us back to the 60s with the classic microbus and bringing that to the forward. So basically ignore the present of Volkswagen. Think future or past, but don't think about right now.
But it does kind of look like a microbus. Look at that.
It does indeed, yes. So they want to bring back that kind of retro styling, the Bredlo styling of a microbus. But this is on an all-electric platform, a flat battery pack on the floor, which gives you a nice wide open space. Again, we're talking about that living room on wheel concept. The idea is that this would be fully autonomous, so you can basically hit the center logo on the steering wheel, and the wheel folds down into the dashboard, and the car drives itself. In theory, they're promising 280 miles of range on a charge, and all sorts of other cool things like lights that wink at you and change color depending upon what mode it's in. Lots of other cool high-tech stuff, but this is just a concept car right now. They didn't give us any indication. They said it wouldn't be until after 2020 something like this would go into production. But it did look really cool, captured a lot of people's hearts and minds, and it is a really nice-looking platform, and the kind of thing that might help Volkswagen bury the hatchet with some of their U.S. buyers. But the fact that the federal government chose the day before the show to indict and arrest one of their executives shows that maybe this is going to be going to take a while before everything is hunky-dory.
And that's an iPad right there in the center console, huh? Look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're integrating consumer technology in new ways, and lots of other things like the spinning Buddha troll things that kind of float around in the dashboard too.
I like that too. I like that.
We need to get a Nintendo in there for the ultimate nostalgia mobile.
Yeah.
What's your sense? Is Tesla? It sounds like Tesla, in some ways, has kind of set a standard that now other companies are saying, we've got to meet this, 300-mile range. We got to meet Tesla where they live. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. There's been a big expectation that something north of 200 miles would be kind of the magic number that people would need to see in order to start moving to EVs in a big way. Chevy has done that with the Bolt, and ultimately all of the concept EVs and the new EVs we see coming to market are all exceeding 200 miles, and that seems to be the magic number. And that's really the first Tesla was the first company to really hit that number, and that's really exciting to see more and more cars, especially at a lower price point, hitting that number. The Chevy Bolt costs about $30,000 at the door. Chevy just started production at the very end of last year, but they've already delivered 600 of those. So even though it's a very new car, that's pretty good numbers in the EV side of things. And this year we should see thousands and thousands and thousands.
So finally, a 360-degree hyperlapse tour of the show floor. Did you do this?
We did do this, yes. So we took our 360 camera and dragged it on the show floor. So those who weren't able to come along, we started at our booth, of course. But you can click along and go and check out the entire Detroit Auto Show floor if you aren't able to be there yourself. This is, of course, a public show starting this weekend, actually, and going for the next couple of weeks. If you're in Detroit, you can go check it out yourself. But if you're not there, if you don't want to brave the cold, just go check out our YouTube channel, and you can go 360 tour yourself.
That is so cool. You guys you're just killing it with Roadshow. Congratulations, Tim.
Thanks very much. Yeah, we had our 1-year anniversary. We actually launched at Detroit last year, so to have our 1-year anniversary feels like we've done a lot in a year, and we've got a lot more to come this year.
Congratulations. That's
thank you.
And you picked a really good time to be covering cars. I mean, it's always been a thing that enthusiasts and aficionados have been into, but it has become the center of technology over the last year.
Yeah, if you look at CES, there were half a dozen, 8 concept cars unveiled at CES, which is kind of overwhelming. We were having a hard time keeping them straight. But to see that focus on automotive technology there and then going straight into Detroit, it's a great place to be.
Pretty cool. Tim Stevens, CNET's Roadshow. It's great to see you. Thank you for joining us, Tim.
Thanks, Leo.
All right, take care. Let's take a walk, Nathan.
Let's do it.
Nathan Olivarez-Giles with us. We are going to find out something. This is exciting. For anybody who's been using an iPhone, you probably felt a little bit left out watching the Gear VR and the Daydream and Cardboard and all these Android-based devices for virtual reality. Jeff Powers is with us. He's the co-founder of Occipital. Hi, Jeff. Welcome.
Hey.
Come on over here.
All right.
You did something called the structure sensor, which was for the iPad, right?
Right.
And now this is your newest product. This is the Bridge, a mixed reality headset for the iPhone. This is more than just VR, it's AR too.
Yeah, it's basically a hybrid between the two. You can do any kind of VR, any kind of mobile VR applications, such as things people would use with a cardboard traditionally, can be used in Bridge. But what's new and special about it is the fact that you actually can map your environment and then do AR or mixed reality, where you bring characters or whatever into the world with you.
So that was Tango, right? That was Google's.
Yeah, how does this stack up to Google Tango? Because obviously that's something the iPhone is lacking, and you're kind of helping Apple make up some lost ground here, but how does it stack up feature-wise?
Yeah, so it's similar. It's kind of like the features you would get on Tango, a little bit better, brought over to the iPhone. In the sense that we can map the environment, we can track your position. We do what's called inside-out positional tracking. So you're familiar with, obviously, the Rift and the Vive, and in those systems you have stations. You have either a base station like Lighthouse, or you have cameras like the Rift. Those are doing outside-in tracking. They're looking at you.
Right.
But in our system, you're doing inside-out. You're looking out, and you don't actually have to set up the environment at all. It's just automatically mapped and tracked.
So all the sensors you need are right here.
Or right here. It's kind of like the autonomous cars you were talking about. We're putting all the sensors in here. We don't even need to make the road smart.
So I see an iPhone. It looks like you've got a lens on the camera.
Yeah, so we have a lens here that doubles the field of vision of the iPhone.
Put it right here. We got a
Yeah.
good shot of it.
Here
You
you
can
go.
just point to it as you. So this is a kind of, I've seen like the Olo clip. Kind of something
Yeah.
that goes in front of the camera that gives it a wide angle.
It's just like the Olloclip. We made our own 5-element glass lens that doubles the FOV, but very similar to what the
Neat.
Olloclip does.
Then what is this?
So this is actually the product you mentioned. This is the structure sensor, but it's mounted into the Bridge headset.
Clever.
And this gives you depth sensing. So this is an active depth sensor. It has an infrared camera, an infrared projector. It beams this information out onto the scene. It's a lot like a Kinect, and it's able to basically measure, instead of color pixels, it has essentially depth pixels. It knows how far things are in the world.
And it can also track motion and kind of map the world as it goes along.
Exactly.
Nathan, you've played with Microsoft's HoloLens, right?
Yes.
This seems like it's better than HoloLens.
I had some problems with HoloLens. The
Field of view
field
is
of view is
really
basically
limited.
limited to a small rectangle in front of your face. So when you saw things, it was impressive, but a lot of times you just didn't see anything at all, especially on the corners and your kind of periphery. And in trying this, that problem doesn't seem to exist here.
Yeah, I mean, this is
For a lot
much
less
wider
money, too, I
FOV.
might add.
Yeah, it's about 1/10 of the price of the HoloLens. I mean, the HoloLens, let's not knock it, it's an amazing device. I mean, it's a see-through system, which is very hard to pull off. But if you want to get into mixed reality at a lower price point, and you want to use a device you already have, like the iOS, like an iPhone, Bridge is a great device.
$399, you're going to be available in March. One of the advantages Android has, though, is because there's a rich ecosystem of virtual reality, there's a lot of apps. How are you, there aren't any apps on iOS.
Actually, not really true. So Google actually helped a little bit here, and they came out with a cardboard SDK that's
right.
available
Okay.
on iOS too.
Okay.
So you have things like Discovery Channel VR, you have the cardboard app, you have some
good.
horror apps, you got a bunch of roller coasters, you got a bunch of stuff.
Okay. Can we get a demo?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So the demo, and you're going to give it a try, right?
Yeah, sure, I'll give it a
Oh,
So-
we're going to make Nathan do it.
We're going to
All
make
right,
Nathan
good.
do it. So what I'm going to do, I'm
So
actually
just
going to...
for a description, people listening, it's kind of looks about like a Gear VR. It's a lightweight plastic holder for your phone with the addition of that wide-angle camera lens and the sensor up top, which is it infrared? Is it a Z sensor? What is?
It's a Z sensor. It determines distance.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, a couple cool features on the actual hardware itself. We have
I
this
love that.
sideways opening door.
So it's got a door, so you can actually use the phone without taking it out.
Yeah, in fact,
That's a big problem.
kind of
with the Gear
hilarious.
VR.
I've even had someone take a call like this before.
Oh, yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do. You know?
But yeah, it's perfectly designed to exactly match the phone you have. That way we can align the camera and everything. We use anodized aluminum to rigidly mount everything. Easy to open, close. It's magnetic, so you
Oh,
don't.
that's
There's no
nice.
latch. It's really easy. And in the back we have a ratchet system. So when
Do you
put
find
it
that
on-
because
and
you're going to
when
be
you
in the
launch
Apple
app,
in the Apple market, you've got to do a little bit more in terms of fit and finish and luxury, because it's a demanding market, right? It's not like the Android market.
Yeah, you have to make your device feel like it's meant to work with an
It's
iOS
nice,
device.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is great.
The expectation is high
Controller
there.
for you.
Yep.
All right,
And
so if you
look
go
back
over,
over the
move
scene.
over, a little bit, Nathan, because you can see we're seeing on the screen what Nathan's seeing. Of course, he's seeing it in stereo, but that's the 2D version of it.
Let me see your controller real quick.
There you go.
Oh, there's a little
there you go.
controller.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's really simple. It's really just a one button click, and then you got this
Oh,
little
you made a
robot guy.
robot show up.
So that's Bridget.
Hi, Bridget. And so Nathan, that looks like it's a real robot there on the floor.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It looks like something out of a video game, pretty much in the real world, and you can actually kind of see the scene, and Bridget just moves around.
I hate to say it, but this is so much better than HoloLens in terms of at least field of view. You have an advantage. You have a very powerful computer. You don't have to make a Windows 10 computer fit in the visor. You've got an Apple iPhone. Which iPhones does this work with?
So this works with the 6, the 6S, and the 7. We recommend it on the 6S or the 7 for processing power.
Yeah. I bet you really can take advantage of the 7, though.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa! What are you doing?
I'm playing catch with it, actually.
Oh, my God. Look at that. So it's fetch, yeah.
Yep.
That's fun.
So Bridget comes with a few features. Bridget is basically a developer. It's an app, and it's also a developer sample. It's mostly open source. So we put this thing out for developers to create their own. It's a reference.
Nice.
So if you're a developer and you want to work in mixed reality, you want to work in augmented reality,
look at that.
Bridge is for you.
So you work in Swift, Objective-C. How do you develop?
You can use Swift Objective-C. We have a Unity plugin for positionally tracked VR. One of the cool things is if there's an existing mobile VR app written in Unity, you can use our plugin, and in about 10 minutes, you upgrade it with positional tracking.
That's nice. You can port it over.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
And one of the things that this can do is it can actually make you move between AR and VR, right?
Yeah, so if you click that menu on Bridget again, and you're noticing Bridget's actually avoiding obstacles. So click the one on the far right.
Okay.
And there's two things we can do. One, if you click on the wall here, you can actually create a portal to a bookstore that we actually scan.
Don't go in there now, Nathan. No, it's a fake. It's a trap.
If you see me hitting my head on the wall, you know why.
OMG, you put a hole in our wall. That is freaking cool. Holy cow.
And if he clicks on the ground, you can create, like maybe down at your feet here.
All right.
And you'll actually create a portal to a VR scene that you can walk inside of.
So you're moving out of the augmented reality into the full virtual reality world at this point.
Exactly. And as soon as he steps across, you'll see that we actually bring things from the world back in as an obstacle avoidance map so that he essentially doesn't run into them.
So it won't,
But you have to keep looking at the map or else it'll stop tracking.
Very cool. So it's like I'm in a space station, basically.
Right, but as you approach that TV, you can see it's actually brought into your view so you don't crash into it.
Yeah, Vive does the same thing to kind of give you a wireframe, make sure you...
And if I just walk back through the store,
Yep.
then I'm back in
Reality.
real reality.
Oh, this is... Wow. I'm kind of blown away. I mean, you're competing against one of the largest corporations in the world, and you're beating them, frankly.
In a way.
Two of the largest corporations, Google and Microsoft.
You know, what we're really trying to do is actually power some of these corporations, right? Some of the people that want to build their own headsets, we have the tech to essentially upgrade them with Bridge-like capabilities.
Right.
So in a way, Bridge, anybody can buy Bridge. Anybody can use it for mobile VR. You can take it on the road with you. You can develop if you're a developer. But if you're a company building your own device, we have the tech to put inside. And hopefully, this time next year, we'll be back on the show with 3 or 4 headsets that are powered by our technology.
So this is really your long run. This in itself is a reference platform. In the long run, what you'd like to do is sell the structure sensor and the software and the technology to companies that want to make their own headsets.
We'd like to power
Really
a
cool.
bunch of different devices.
Jeff Powers, what's your background? How did you get into this?
So I was an electrical engineer that was always a software guy.
Yeah.
And graduated from school and didn't really want to go work anywhere. And so I started Occipital. And I did stuff like mobile apps. We did an app to do barcode scanning early on in the days of the company. I founded it actually in 2008. We did Red Laser, if you've ever heard of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a huge fan. That was the scanning program.
The scanning app. We were pushing the limits of...
I knew the name Occipital.
Pushing what you could actually do on the camera. There was a question, could you even access it in that way? And, and we ended up selling that product to eBay, and then we just kept going. And we always wanted to do augmented reality. And in fact, we tried to do AR way back then, but nobody would invest in it. Of course, right?
That tide has turned.
Oh,
How many developers do you have already making apps for Bridge right now?
So I mean, for structure sensor, we have thousands of developers, but for Bridge, we just announced it last month and shipped the first units last month. We announced and shipped a week later. We didn't want to do one of these, announce it and ship it maybe a year later. There's now hundreds of developers that are working on creating the first apps that should hopefully a handful of them will be available when we start shipping again in March.
Where's the momentum? Is it with like things like retail? Is it with games? I know a lot of AR apps that I've seen like basically get you into virtual museums and kind of put like dinosaurs in your house and things like this. But where's the developer interest right now?
So in mixed and augmented reality, I think you see a lot of business use cases. A lot of people wanting to maybe scan a job site, beam it to somebody else, and then interact remotely. You see that kind of thing. With games, you see things like bringing ghosts into your house and this sort of stuff. So we definitely see a lot of people that are just doing works of passion, wanting to create games and that sort of stuff. But in the business world, we're seeing a lot of remote collaboration type projects.
This is just mind-boggling. $399, wide availability in March. Both for developers and end users, and I'm sure Apple's going to come a-calling and knocking on your door because this is a category Apple's already said. Tim Cook said several times he really wants to get into this category. I think it's one of the next big things, frankly, AR particularly. I'm very excited about it.
And one cool thing, by the way, is that Bridge, you can buy it now and use it with your 6S or your 7, and we've actually designed it to be upgradable.
Oh, that's nice.
So, of course, we don't know what the next iPhone will look like, but let's assume it's not too different than this. We can actually produce just this front element, this phone enclosure.
Okay, very good, very
and
good.
you can keep the
Smart.
sensor.
Smart.
Minimal investment.
Get a new enclosure.
And you've got a new enclosure. You got a new
Nice.
Brilliant. Jeff, you're on. This is going to be awesome.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, Occipital, Jeff Powers, and Bridge is the product. And what's the website so people can go there and?
So you can go to bridge.occipital.com.
Okay, and starting in March, pick up your. I'm going to buy one immediately. I think that's really, really cool. We're going to take a look at a new line of in-ear headphones from a legendary company, Fender. Jason Howell, our resident musician, will give us his review. But first, a word about Rocket Mortgage. You've heard me talk about Rocket Mortgage. It's a product from Quicken Loans, the premier mortgage lender in the United States. That's one reason I really like Rocket Mortgage. Of course, Rocket Mortgage, as we've said before, is aimed at us, at the digital literate folks who want to do everything online. When it comes to choosing a mortgage lender, though, I really want to we don't talk about this enough. It's important to work with somebody not only that you can trust, and you know you can trust like Quicken Loans, but somebody who is also interested in using technology on your behalf with your best interest in mind. Rocket Mortgage gives you a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. Lots of tools on the site, sliders. You can pick the loan that's right for your precise needs. And by the way, no more searching through stacks of paperwork. You can get your financial info shared online completely securely in instance and get your results, your response in minutes. You can even use those sliders to adjust the rate and length of your loan in real time. So I've never seen a solution this good, this fast, this easy to use. It really is the state of the art in mortgage lending. So whether you're ready to buy or you want to refinance, it is so much better with Rocket Mortgage, of course, from Quicken Loans. Skip the bank, skip the waiting, go completely online. QuickenLoans.com/NSS. Rocket Mortgage is an equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Number 3030. We thank them so much for their support of the new screensavers. Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans. When you say Fender's got new ear headphones, it's kind of wild. This is the Fender FXA5. They're known for their amps, right? We thought we'd give them to Jason Howell and see what he thinks. Take a look.
Hey, I am here with an audiophile's in-ear headphones from Fender. It makes a lot of guitars and music production hardware. Well, Fender actually is releasing these high-end headphones, a whole series of them actually. These are the FXA5. Fender actually acquired Aurasonics last year. They're makers of high-quality custom fit and universal fit in-ear monitors. And Fender is basically lowering the cost on these style of headphones. These right here are $300, although they have 5 models ranging between $99 to $499 made in the USA. So the design, obviously, it takes these little rubberized tips. You get a whole package of them down here so you can find the right one. They've molded tons of ears, thousands of ears, and say that these will fit 95% of people's ears. So you can find the fit that works for you. Detachable molded cable right here, so you can replace that if you need to. At some point, also kind of molds around the ear right here, as you can see, so you can get the right fit. Took me a while to get used to, a little bit of fumbling to get it to fit in the ear canal and be comfortable getting this around the ear, but I eventually managed to kind of figure it out. And once it's sealed, it really minimizes the ambient leakage. There's actually passive noise reduction of 22 decibels, so it really lowers that noise outside. And it just sounds really good. Obviously, this is all about sound quality. I use the ZTE Axon 7 with high-end digital to analog conversion for high-res audio. I also used, as you can see here, Tidal, Hi-Fi, Radiohead and Rainbows, David Bowie's new EP, Lazarus, and a few others. Got some really incredible highs, crisp highs, no distortion and harshness when I compared it to other lossy formats. When the fit is right, you get that really nice, deep bass response, punchy. Mids are super detailed, so you get a lot of detail and clarity in your music as well. And I mean, like I said, once you get the fit right, they're super comfortable. It's just finding that proper fit can be a little bit of a challenge, but you get there eventually. It also includes this little carrying case and an 1/8" to 1/4" adapter inside, a few extra tips and cleaning tools. But overall, this might not be ideal necessarily for merely smartphone users because there is no inline microphone in the cable. There are no volume controls, but it's custom, more or less, in-ear monitors, and normally those can run up to $1,000. So these are a lot less than that. I'd say the sound quality is probably nearly as good. I really, really enjoyed my time with these. You can catch me, Jason Howell, all over the Twit network, of course, all about Android. I do lots of reviews of Android things, and then talk about tech news with Megan Maroney on Tech News Today.
$300 for those Fenders. As expensive as that is, good headphones are expensive. I'm thinking, he mentioned the in-ear monitors. These are, you go to an audiologist, you get a custom mold. A lot of musicians wear these, a lot of TV people. I always wear these. They start at $1,000. I mean, they're really expensive. They fit perfectly, but that's a high price.
And for a musician, it's like, that's part of your craft. You need that. It's if it'd be $300 well spent if it actually helps you do what you need to do.
I'm tempted. I got the ear pods. They don't fit my ear at all. So,
but they work pretty well in mine.
I actually like these a lot.
They work pretty well in mine.
No, they fit pretty well.
They do look goofy.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm liking these more and more the more I use them.
So you haven't lost one yet, huh?
No, I'm not gonna either.
How do you know
$169. I ain't gonna lose
Maybe
that.
you need a lanyard. You need to get.
I saw a guy who had big, ear gauges. Yeah. He put the tip right through the ear like that.
That's secure.
They don't go anywhere. They look really bad.
Are you saying you're going to get gauged earrings?
I'm going to get gauges.
I'd like to see that.
It's time.
I think
I'm the new primitive. Didn't you know? Yeah. You have brought something I've been very excited. This is becoming the VR show today. I'm very excited about this. The Oculus Rift, when it first came out, and I had the developer edition that was on a Kickstarter.
Yep.
I've had all of them. I bought, was able to get one because I bought the Kickstarter. So they sent me the headset. But it felt like it was missing something. It didn't have the touch
This is what it was missing.
Yeah.
This is what it was missing. At launch, HTC Vive, which...
Those have controllers?
Those have touch controllers. PlayStation VR has touch controllers. Yeah. The difference is those systems have like basically a wand. It's kind of like a big tube that you hold on to. These actually cradle around your hands in a really nice way. They have kind of a gun-style grip built around. You have some joysticks here. And they actually have sensors in them that can sense when you're pointing your finger out, doing thumbs up, making a fist, or anything. And what's best is, even though I don't have these little straps on, and if you're going to buy this and if you're going to play with it, you really should, but you can actually rest your fingers and you're not going to drop anything. Or if you have those sticks from the HTC Vive or PlayStation VR, you let your fingers go, you drop the controller. So this is honestly a smarter, more ergonomical design as well.
Well, let's play with them a little bit. You brought your virtual reality rig. You have a nice Asus system.
Yep, brought this straight from my apartment.
Got your Oculus there. I have to say, I have both, obviously, and we've been using the Vive a lot more just because it has those controllers. Are there apps out that take advantage of the Oculus Touch controllers?
There are a lot of apps. Now, when Oculus first launched, there weren't very many games to play. Now there's a lot of stuff. I think one of the ones that shows off some of the capabilities of the system the most is called VR Sports Challenge. It was funded by Oculus Studios, and they have a bunch of different mini games. You can actually play some dunk contest. You have a little three-point contest. There's a home run derby, things like this. And then if you want to get a little bit more serious, you can actually play like a full sports game. And it's really kind of shows how natural some of these things feel. Now, picking up a basketball like this, with essentially what is a trigger, isn't the same as gripping a ball, but it's really, really fun.
Whoa!
Yeah.
You've been practicing, dude. 3-pointers.
Well, not practicing enough.
Back behind the belt.
Yeah.
You should have stopped at the first one.
Yeah, but
you should definitely have stopped at the first one.
But it's a lot of fun. And
so how close to that actually shooting a basket is it? Is it pretty close?
It's not quite there. But you're definitely going to work up a sweat. You're standing in one place since the sensors can only pick you up so far.
That's pretty cool.
But it is definitely a blast. Now they need a lot more games games like this, but as far as things...
Whoa, another three-pointer.
Yep. I'm only bad about half the time.
Oh, 2 in a row.
So we'll see.
Whoa, dude.
There's 3. That was trash. And let's try
with a special
this money shot.
magical
and that was bad
shot.
as well. So I'm actually just about as bad in virtual reality as I am in real life. So that, that's encouraging.
That looks like fun, though. I have to say, and I can see you actually worked up a little bit of sweat there.
It definitely is.
Now, you told me, what's your favorite game? You told me that there's a good game.
My favorite game is a game called Super Hot, and the reason why I like this game so much is your actual body kind of keeps you in the game, and everything that you do looks...
Oh, it wants to update.
This is not the time for an update.
Oh, it requires an update. What? Go ahead, update, and then we'll do that. We'll just take a little pause.
We'll take a little break here.
Yeah. I really want to see the Super Hot game.
So what makes Super Hot so great is when you move...
now I know why he's so good. He's a Lakers fan.
Yeah, I'm about as good as the players on the Lakers too. They're pretty lousy. When you move in Super Hot, the game itself moves, and when you stay still, the game itself is paused. So it's actually a shooting game.
Weird.
Yeah, you're basically. It's almost like if you're watching Saved by the Bell and Zach Morris can freeze the world. It's like that.
Okay.
And so then the action can stop, and it's a shooting game. And it gives you basically the ability to control your next move by taking a breath, pausing, thinking about it, and then being strategic about it.
Oh, I kind of like that.
Yeah, there's nothing else quite like it, and it was actually built for the Xbox first, but it feels like a game that was built for VR. This is the kind of stuff that really takes advantage of all of these features.
So far, the Vive and Oculus games I've played all feel like demos more than a game that I would actually buy and play. You know what I mean?
We're really starting to get to that point, and it's about time, given how expensive this stuff is, that we're starting to get some fully fledged games. Super Hot is one of those examples. There's a game coming early this year called Robo Recall, where you're literally fighting in the future robots that have gone haywire, and you get to pull them apart, you get to shoot them with guns, stuff like that. That's pretty fun. Another game called Dead and Buried that's fantastic is kind of like a Wild West shooter. Here's what Super Hot looks like.
So it's kind of like bullet time a little bit.
It's a little bit like bullet time, and now it really just relies on the headset and those motion sensing touch controllers to do what it needs to do. But it's so convincing looking that it really makes it feel like your entire body is the controller, and it delivers on the promise of VR in a really great way.
However, I got to point out once again that we're shooting voxels. We're not quite to a real environment, and this is more of that, feels like more of that demo. Is that because it's so hard to do in 3D?
Yeah, I mean, you have incredibly powerful PCs powering these headset systems, even more powerful than what you're going to get with an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Right.
But you're not quite there for photorealistic graphics yet. Okay. I think part of it is also the sense that inside of these headsets, for a lot of people, there's still some motion sickness. There's still a little bit of not quite believing it's reality, and this kind of helps you recognize that this is still a virtual world versus the real world.
It's like the uncanny valley. You don't want to make it too realistic because people will then really hurl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's
is the update done? I think it is.
Let's see if it is. I sure hope so. All right.
I want to play.
Yeah, if you want to give it a shot.
I want to call it Super Bad.
Super Bad.
But it's not. It's
super hot.
Okay.
But yeah, if you want to give it a shot, or you want to see me do it.
No, I'll take a pass. Go ahead.
All right.
Well, one of the reasons is, and this, poor Nate had to come set it all up again. Is as soon as you set everything up in a new space, you got to recalibrate. It's a big problem. I still feel like we're in very much early adopter days with VR. It's not for everyone.
Well, it definitely is in that early adopter stage, but this is the sort of stuff that needs to happen before a game goes mainstream, right? So you see here's my virtual gun, shoot the bad guy.
That was mean.
Yeah,
he was just standing there. Or that's a practice round.
Yep, it's a practice round.
All right.
So essentially the game moves when I move. So if I'm standing still, nothing happens, but then as I'm moving any part of my body,
interesting,
it recognizes.
Right. It does strike me that they could make it more realistic. So I think it must be, as you said, they're just nervous about being too realistic. It might be too real.
I think that's definitely a part of it, but also when you're building a game, you have to think about the resources that it takes to build a game. And for a AAA title on maybe an Xbox or a PlayStation, they're spending millions of dollars and years to do this. And these systems, as cool as they are unproven. Millions of people don't necessarily have these in their homes yet.
Right. So until there's a massive market, as there would be with a PlayStation 4 game,
exactly,
they're not going to put the resources in.
Yep, and you can see here I am dodging,
you're dodging
bullets in slow-mo.
You're getting a workout here, Nathan.
Yeah, this is not the sort of game that you want to play if you want to be lazy on your couch on a Saturday morning.
Well, that is kind of what VR games are about, right? In fact, I was a little disappointed when the PS4 VR came out, and you have to sit down while you're playing it. It kind of is not as much. It's not as fun, frankly.
It's not as fun, but the PS4, the PSVR is definitely cheaper and less expensive, so the barrier to entry is a little bit different there.
You'll pay $200 just to get these touch sensors, by the way.
Exactly, on top of the cost of the headset, and then the PC that you're going to need, which is going to be about $1,000 to $1,500 already.
By the way, nice shot to the head. You actually literally knocked his block off. Throwing stars, you ninja, you.
Yeah, well, I'm as bad at that as I am at shooting a basketball. But there you go.
that has to hurt.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's the other thing that's important to realize if you're thinking about these technologies. There's no point in getting a machine that's much faster than the base model, only because developers are developing for the base model. They're not making games that require more than the minimum requirements.
Exactly. What I have here is a Asus that's fully configured and built for Rift, and you can actually pick it up on Oculus's website. Rather than spending like thousands of dollars and building my own PC, just get basically what's available because it's going to work.
How much was this Asus?
I believe it was $1,200.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's a lot better. We spent, I think, $5,000 to get. Oh, you got two guns now.
Yep.
To build the ultimate virtual reality game machine. But we went all out, and as I learned, and Ryan Shrout kind of confirmed this of This Week in Computer Hardware. That nothing takes advantage of that higher end stuff that we put in there. All the games look just as good on the base model.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to be able to brag to your friends and say you have a more powerful PC,
well, that's true.
There's that. But in terms of making it a better game to play, there's not much you can do here.
So obviously, if you already have an Oculus Rift, you're already in. You should get the touch controllers.
If you have a Rift, this is what you need. It's a no-brainer. It really makes the experience what it should have been from launch.
Right.
It's kind of disappointing that it took so long for that to come out. But the fact of the matter is that these controllers are what you need to have the full VR experience. And even though it took them longer, they are better controllers, in my opinion, than what you're going to get with HTC Vive or PlayStation VR.
Is this a fun game, though? Are you actually having fun?
This is actually one of my favorite games, and one of the things I spend the most time playing. But yeah, I guess it's a matter of taste, huh?
It doesn't grab me.
You're not feeling it. Well, there's VR Sports. There's of course this game, Dead and Buried. We can give that one a shot if you'd like.
No. You know what I actually find I play the most? Office Simulator.
No, you're one of those guys.
I'm one of those guys.
You're one of those guys.
Oh man.
Yeah, one of my favorite games for PSVR is Super Hypercube, and that it also has a similar kind of abstract neon style. And sometimes my friends think I'm crazy for playing it so much.
Well, we loved Tilt Brush on the Vive. All the artists in the studio were playing with that. Anthony did some great stuff, and I'm told Alex Lindsay, who's played with the Oculus Touch, and there's a 3D modeling app.
Yes.
That he says is going to be, frankly, a world beater. That it is so good that 3D artists are going to want to use that instead of any other system. That this just really makes it.
Yeah, it's called Medium. There's also a drawing app called Quill, and both of those apps are fantastic. And in fact, Oculus is already having animators use these games to make these apps to make films, and it really changes it from an application to an actual genuine creative tool.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Nathan, for bringing this along and giving us a demo. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
That's pretty cool.
Then you have VR face when you're done with all these headsets as well.
Like a raccoon. They've got some social stuff to get over first before these become really big. Tomorrow, just a little program note. Right before we do This Week in Tech, we're going to don the VR headgear and play. I think we'll probably play it on the PlayStation VR. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes.
That game is a blast. And that's
I love that game.
That's something where, unlike this, you feel a little bit isolated
It's
if
a
someone else
party
playing.
game.
It's a party game. Everyone in the room can take part.
So you put on the headset, you see the bomb, everybody else has a manual but can't see the bomb. You've got to communicate quickly under time pressure to help me defuse the bomb. And now, because we're using the PlayStation VR, you'll be able to, for the first time, we've played it before, see the bomb while we're diffusing it.
It's a blast. That game is a blast.
It can be literally a blast. Becky who's playing with us, Tanya? Becky Worley?
Becky Worley is playing, and then we've got
Mike Elgin.
And Greg Farrow.
And Greg Farrow of the Packet Pushers podcast. They'll all be in studio playing so the hour before TWIT. Tune in a little early for TWIT tomorrow afternoon.
That's going to be a good time.
It's fun. I actually would play that game all the time.
Yeah.
I should take it back. Office Simulator, fine, but Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes, really, really fun. And that's, by the way, available for every platform, including Daydream and Gear VR. I mean, you can play that on cardboard, so lots of ways to play. Hey, you ready? Let's do a call for help. You want to do that?
Let's do it.
I might need your help on this one. We go to Toronto, Canada. Harmon on the line. Hi, Harmon.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to the new Screensavers. What can we do for you today?
Thank you. Thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I've got a question about password managers. I like to use one to protect myself online. The only concern is if my password manager is hacked, all my accounts will potentially be compromised. So I was wondering if the benefits of using a password manager outweigh the risks, and which password manager you guys would recommend.
Yeah, you're operating at the next level up, and I think it's a really good question. You know, out of the box, the first thing I want to say is everybody should be using a password manager.
Agreed.
Period.
Agreed.
Because no matter what, it's a better way to do it than Post-it notes, than using the same password on 20 sites, making easy to remember passwords that are also easy to crack. So you're on which one do you use, Harmon?
I'm currently using LastPass.
Okay. So I use LastPass. Steve Gibson has recommended LastPass. We're fans of the program. But you pinpoint a really important flaw. And now that I've said everybody should use a password manager, let's talk at the next level up. There is a potential problem, and that is, for convenience sake, LastPass keeps a copy of your encrypted password blob. So the idea of a password, you can think of it as a password vault. You have it generate long, strong, really random passwords you couldn't in a million years remember, and a unique one for every site. And then you store it in the vault, and then you have one long, strong password you do remember
to get yourself into that vault.
That unlocks the vault. The problem is that vault is living on the LastPass site. That way you can synchronize it with all your devices. That's a convenience. It's also a potential flaw, as you point out, Harmon, because if somebody were to hack LastPass and get all the password blobs, they could then, at their leisure, try to brute force it. Now, you remember, you've locked that vault with a good password, right? Mine's, 20 characters. But the problem is you have to remember it. So you're less likely to make it a really random password. You're going to use something what I do is I create it. I shouldn't say what my methodology is.
Maybe not.
So what I recommend is you use some sort of methodology that you could recreate the password. I'll give you an example I don't use, but I've heard many times recommended. You take the presidents of the United States, take the last 15 or 20, as many as you can remember, right? And you use their last name. You capitalize it if they're Republican, lowercase it if they're Democrat, and then you put the number of years they served. You want to get some numbers in there. Maybe figure out a way to get punctuation in there as well. That's something you can recreate by going in your mind through the mnemonic so that you will remember that password. You could use, I also think it's a great idea to use the first letters of lines of a book. That was the best of times, it was the worst of times. That gives you an advantage because you can capitalize the beginning of the sentence. You can use punctuation. But remember, that also is a vulnerability. So now you have a password as good as it is, that's a little bit easier to brute force, and a bad guy who has all the time in the world to brute force it. That's kind of a worst case scenario. You don't want to do that. So if that bothers you, I personally am comfortable with it because I feel like my password's good. I feel like also LastPass's track record is very good. They haven't been breached. There was one case where there was a concern that they might have been breached, and they were very quick to tell everybody and to change everybody's master password, which would be sufficient, okay? Because they're using strong encryption. They're also doing more sophisticated things to make it even more difficult to reverse the hash. But there are password managers that are truly trust no one. That's Steve's phrase for no one has access to my password blob. I trust no one.
And those are usually a little bit more expensive and a little bit tougher to use.
Less convenient.
Yeah, not too long ago, my colleague Jeffrey Feller at the Wall Street Journal wrote a column about password managers, and we actually did some digging and taking a look into it. And there are different levels of security as well as price and a little bit of annoyance. Personally, I use one called Dashlane. Inside of that article, we actually have a chart showing some of the differences. Maybe we can take a look at that. There's 1Password, Dashlane, LastPass, and Password Box. We've tested all these, and these we recommend. Things to look out for are options that use biometric sensors. So LastPass, for example, can actually use your fingerprint as an extra layer of security.
You always want to turn on two-factor.
Exactly.
So even then, if they got the blob, they would also have to get your phone or get your fingerprint or some other way to get it unlocked. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's
so taking a look at those sorts of things,
Yeah.
it's for that extra layer of security. I mean, it just makes it that much tougher. If someone did find your password, they still wouldn't be able to have necessarily your thumbprint. So
I'll give you a couple of password managers that don't store the blob for you. So the reason that's less convenient is that it's on you.
Yes.
You may even be less secure than say LastPass, right? You may be opening a hole, but 1Password will allow you to store the blob on a single machine or Dropbox if you want, and then access it from the other machines. You can even, and I think this is probably the most secure, keep it at home locally and synchronize via Wi-Fi whenever your device gets in the same room as your LastPass. So, your 1Password. So 1Password does have that kind of, it's an option and you have to turn it on, you have to, and then it's on you, right? Then you have to keep your things secure. Exactly. There's also an open source program called KeePass, KeePass. It's free. It also, it doesn't have any central server. It can't. There's nobody owns it. It's an open source project. So you're responsible for keeping your blob somewhere and for synchronizing it. A lot of security gurus and hardcore open sourcers prefer this KeePass. I don't find it as convenient because for mobile devices, for instance, it's not as easy to use.
It's definitely not as user-friendly.
Not as user-friendly, but in all likelihood more secure. I consider LastPass secure enough, and that's what I use. What do you use?
I use Dashlane.
Also very nice. So those are some good choices. But you ask exactly the right question, Harman. Does that answer your questions?
Absolutely, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think if you use multi-factor on LastPass or Dashlane, even though they're storing your blob, I think and make sure you use a good master password, I think it's probably more than secure enough.
Yeah, unfortunately, the simple fact of the matter is passwords suck, and we all have a ton of them, dozens of them. But a password manager is definitely a lot better than having 25 different passwords or one, just as you said earlier. So this is the way to go. This is the best you can get right now, and hopefully, not too long down the future, we'll have more biometrics and more safety measures. But you're asking the right questions.
Right. Thanks, Harman.
Thank you.
Take care. Next week, Jason Snell joins us. You know what that means. You've got Apple questions. Jason's got Apple answers. Here's how you can ask them.
Need tech help? The new screensavers are here with answers. Email your tech questions to newscreensavers@twit.tv.
That was a good question. That's something that we don't often talk about, so I'm glad he called in. We got the mailbag coming up in just a second. Father Robert here has a review of a brand new Acer laptop. They call it the Spin. Let's take a spin.
The Spin 7 is the latest in convertibles from Acer. Measuring 0.43 inches thin and weighing 2.65 pounds, the all-aluminum unibody Spin 7 is lighter, thinner, and has a larger screen than Acer's previous flagship Ultrabook, the S7. In that small package, you get a lot. The Spin 7 sports a 14-inch 1920 by 1080 10-point multi-touch IPS screen under Gorilla Glass 4. It's powered by a 7th Gen Intel i7 7Y75 processor running between 1.3 and 3.6 GHz and 8 GB of LPDDR3 memory. An upgradable 256GB Kingston MSAT SSD provides storage, and a wireless module adds dual-band 802.11 AGBN 2x2 multi-user AC MIMO and Bluetooth 4.1 connectivity. Along the left side of the Spin 7, you'll find a lock port, a power switch, and a volume rocker. On the right side are 2 USB-C ports and a combo audio jack. There was talk about being brave and removing the audio port, but the Acer engineers laughed off that suggestion because, well, it was just silly. In benchmarks, the Spin 7 handles itself quite well. It's not a gaming machine, but it still managed to average 2540 in PC Mark 8, 4800 in CloudGate, and 680 in Firestrike. The 4-cell 2.77 amp-hour lithium-ion battery lasted up to 9.5 hours, with a typical use rundown time of just over 7. Those are some pretty decent specs for a convertible that sells for under $1,200, but how does it feel? In a word? Nom 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 nom. That's a word, right? But whatever, it's good. The keyboard has a surprising amount of travel and resistance. The keys are well spaced to avoid fat fingering, and the oversized touchpad has excellent palm rejection. The all-aluminum and Gorilla Glass construction looks stylish while being very functional, and the screen has just the right levels of contrast, saturation, and brightness. With just 2 USB-C ports to connect and power the unit, you're going to need some dongles. Luckily, Acer provides them in the box. The Spin 7 arrives with USB-C to HDMI and USB-C to USB-A dongles. One of the ports features DisplayPort over USB-C, so you can get truly lag-free 4K output on a monitor of your choice. Of course, as a convertible, the hinge is important. So many convertibles have fallen just short of great because their conversion mechanisms feel wrong. But Acer has been working on the tech for years, and it shows. The Spin 7 utilizes Acer's proprietary variable resistance 360-degree hinge that easily opens, holds, folds, and maintains the screen exactly where you want it. Not only that, but they've done a phenomenal job in balancing the Spin 7. It never feels as if the screen will pull over the keyboard, nor does the keyboard feel like dead weight when the Spin 7 is in tablet mode. It automatically transitions between laptop and tablet mode, rotating its display properly and shutting off the keyboard and mouse inputs when in tablet or stand mode. Audio is actually quite good for such a small notebook. Acer built Dolby sound enhancements into the Spin 7 and added a neat bit of tech, with a feature that automatically flips audio output when the display is reversed. In all, the Spin 7 is an almost note-perfect convertible in terms of price, performance, design, construction, and feature set. This is not an Ultrabook with a tabletable screen, nor a tablet with a tacked-on keyboard and mouse. This is one of those very rare tablet Ultrabook convertibles that really feels at home playing either part.
Thank you, Father Robert Ballecer. You can catch him on Know How every weekend, this week in Enterprise Tech, and he makes a lot of appearances on many of our other shows. We're ready for the end of the show. You're great, by the way. Did you play hoops in school?
I did play a little bit of basketball. I'm better in real life, I swear.
Did it help you to have played basketball when you did it on the Oculus?
Did it look like it helped? I'm not sure. I don't think it helped at all.
The good news is, though, you're never going to get an elbow in the chin on that.
There's that. There's that, yeah.
It's time for the mailbag. Here we go. Questions from our viewers. You can email New Screensavers at twit.tv. Wait a minute, though. Before we get to the mailbag. Oh, great. I've lost my award. I want to thank the folks at YouTube for our silver button.
Whoa.
So I guess YouTube's doing this kind of like the record industry used to do gold records.
Yeah.
Right? So for 100,000 subscribers on the Twit channel, youtube.com/twit, we're now at 111,000. We get a button if you get gold, if you get to 1 million. So I'm shooting for gold. But thank you, YouTube. I just got this in the mail.
That is awesome. Did they tell you
cool?
they were going to do that, or is that a surprise?
I don't think so. We kind of had to mention that I guess they gave us an alert and said, "Would you like a button?" Did they do that? Yeah. Would you like a button?
This is cool.
We didn't have to pay for it, did we? Oh, good. And well, you know, it's funny. So you've seen McJuggernuggets, right?
What? No? What is McJuggernuggets?
That's a question you really don't want to ask. You don't know that well. So there's a YouTube channel. Remember the crazy psycho dad?
Yeah.
He gets mad at his kid for like playing too many video games, takes all the Xbox games and mows them over with them.
Yes.
I've
seen that video, yeah.
So it's a whole channel, a psycho dad channel.
Okay.
And it turns out they're all fake, right?
Yeah.
They're good. It's good acting, though. It fooled me for a while. And the guy who does is McJuggernuggets, and he's recently... that's his name. What are you?
I love it.
It's probably Dutch. Anyway, there he is. Anyway, he's ended the Psycho Dad series. It's over, right?
Psycho Dad is over.
It's over.
I didn't know that.
He's eBaying his YouTube play button for the channel because I guess one of the last episodes they destroyed it.
Oh.
So he's selling his play. It's a gold one, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not a silver one.
It says McJuggernuggets right there.
It says McJuggernuggets
instead of Twit.
Yeah, that's what makes it so valuable. If you go on eBay, $90,000 the current bid.
What?
I have to say one thing about eBay. When you do a high-profile auction like that, we found that on the screensavers. Remember, we auctioned off the refrigerator. It was on the set. We were doing it for charity too.
Yeah.
We got a massive bid. I don't remember what it was. It was huge. We were so happy, and then we found out the guy's not going to give you any money.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So there is his. Oh, it was silver. It's not gold.
And it's pretty beat up.
Yeah, because the dad shattered it on the episode. I threw it in the fire or something. So
that could make a good like Western style belt buckle. You know, that could.
Well, that's what I was.
That could really work.
I was actually disappointed. I was hoping eBay, or YouTube would send me like a wrestling belt with a big play button on it. Anyway, thank you, YouTube. That's pretty cool. We got some questions.
Let's do it.
Pick one.
I'll take this one.
Okay. And that means you start.
All right. I'm looking for a good picture and file transfer between iPad, Android, and Windows. I see 4 or 5 apps in the App Store, but they tell you it's free. Then, after I try to use it, they say I need to pay. I do not want to pay if it's not great. What do you suggest? This is from George.
Well, of course, there's always Dropbox and things. But I'll tell you the one that's free that I really like is Google Photos.
Google Photos is great specifically for photos, and that ties into Google Drive, which gives you a nice amount of free storage space as well to start.
Well, no, even Google Photos is free if you don't do full resolution.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. If you want those high-res backups, then you're going to have to subscribe. But as far as a free solution, this is the place to start, and it works across all those operating systems.
Absolutely.
Your iPad, your iPhone, and Android.
So I use it all the time. For instance, somebody was here the other day, and you know, we sometimes when people visit the studio afterwards, we'll do pictures.
Yep.
And so I took pictures with VDoc, but he didn't have a camera, or he didn't have his camera was old or something. So I said, well, no problem. We'll use my camera. We took a bunch of pictures. My phone automatically, as every phone should, uploads to Google Photos. That's free. You should do it. Just turn it on.
Yeah.
And so all I do is I see all the pictures and I share it with his email. I said, just give me your email address, and it's automatically shared with him. And I think that's probably the best free solution.
The sharing is easy. Plus, if you're on a Windows machine, you don't have to download an extra app. You can just go into the web browser and you can get it right there.
Yeah, it's in the browser.
It's kind of a no-brainer. Of course, you mentioned Dropbox. There are things like Box. I actually use Google Photos as a backup for my backups. So I have iCloud, but then I also use Google Photos as well.
That's why I feel like it's free. Why not, even if you're doing something other solution, have it as an additional backup. If you're an Amazon Prime member, they also will allow you to upload unlimited photos to Amazon. Did you say just photos, or is it other data
just
as well?
any picture and file transfer. And that
Files gets more complicated.
Files gets more complicated, but again, with Google Photos, you can also access all that stuff in Google Drive. So basically, if you're using Google Photos, you're using Google Drive as well.
Right.
So they go hand in hand. And Drive is where you keep everything that is a photo but is also not. So you want the photos, go to the Photos app. Drive has everything.
Drive's one of the least expensive storage solutions out there. They all charge you, though, as you get bigger. Drive for a terabyte, 1,000 gigabytes is $10 a month. That's probably enough for anybody, and maybe you go even with 100 gigabyte.
I think 100 gigs should be okay for most folks.
That's
but
Apple's price as well. It's $2 a month.
Exactly.
For iCloud storage. I don't know of any free cloud storage. It won't be, because they're using, resources to store it. I use a network attached storage solution. I use a Synology NAS at home, and that has also all of the synchronization capabilities for all kinds of files. And that way, I'm not storing it on the cloud, on Dropbox or anywhere else. I'm storing it on my secure network attached store. And I can access it. There's an app for Android, there's an app for iPhone and Windows, Mac. So I have the same thing, synchronization, access to all my stuff. The problem is that's far from free, because you've got to buy a network attached storage.
Definitely.
And you got to buy the hard drive.
You got to set it up. It's a little less user-friendly.
It's a pretty expensive way to do it.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of having my own cloud.
Yeah.
If you've got an old computer lying around, that's another option. You can do that, put software on there and free NAS, something like that, and do it yourself.
Definitely worth considering, especially if most of these file transfers that are taking place for George are happening at home, and that's where he spends most of his time. That might be a good option for him.
Question number 2 comes to us from William. I love all the different Twit shows, and I want to hear them on my Echo. What are the commands I need to know? Actually, it's surprisingly easy. We have my Amazon Echoes here, and I don't call it the A word because I don't want to trigger anybody's A at home.
Alexa is the word.
That didn't come out right. I call it Echo. So let's see if I can get the Amazon Echo to play something. Echo, listen to Twit Live.
Twit Live on TuneIn.
So anything that's on TuneIn, this is going to be weird because we're now looping back. Oh dear, this is going to Echo stop. Thank you. And you could do the same thing if for the latest version of any show, Echo, listen to Windows Weekly.
Here's a station you might
No,
like.
Echo stop.
2002.
Got it. No pausing allowed.
Do you have to say on TuneIn or?
Actually, you used to. Echo stop. Used to have to, but now you can just say the show. But if it doesn't recognize it right away, try on TuneIn. That's the app. If you have Spotify has podcasts. We're also on Google Play. So if you have those accounts set up with your Echo, that might work as well.
This won't, however, work with Apple's podcasting app because Echo and Apple aren't really mixing in that way. And Pocket Cast, which is another popular option, doesn't work with Echo as well currently.
You woke her up.
Sorry about that.
We're not talking to you. Let me see. I wonder, one thing I didn't try. Echo, listen to Mac Break Weekly episode 300. I don't know if you can listen to back episodes.
About to find out.
Getting the latest episode of Mac Break Weekly.
It's just the latest episode.
Here it is from TuneIn.
But
it's time for Mac Break Weekly.
You don't want to listen to old episodes, right? Echo stop. So I'm glad you asked, William, because I want people to know that they can absolutely listen to our latest shows. And you can listen to the live audio stream. That's called Twit Live. And it used to be you had to say on TuneIn. I notice of late, maybe because we're on the flash briefing, I don't know, maybe they just like us at Amazon. All you have to do is say listen to and the name of the show. If it's at all ambiguous, if we had a show named, I don't know, I Like Big Butts, then you would have to explain that you wanted I Like Big Butts on TuneIn as opposed to I Like Big Butts on Spotify.
There might be multiple podcasts with that name, so that's
if there are, let us know. You can email new screensavers at twit.tv. If you'd like to be in the studio, tickets at twit.tv. And if you, of course, want to watch live or listen live, you can always do that. We stream audio and video from our website and many apps, not just Echo, Roku, and Apple TV and all of that. We're every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, 2300 UTC. Nathan Olivarez-Giles, Nathan Olivarez-Giles.
You're getting better. Right. You need some practice.
Say it so well.
I don't even know how I say it.
This is your name.
Yeah, Olivarez-Giles.
Don't you love that?
But Olivarez-Giles is great as well.
He reports on consumer tech at the Wall Street Journal.
Indeed, I do.
And appears here as often as we can get him to come up. Thank you for doing this.
Hey, always my pleasure. I always have a great time being down here. Thanks.
I like it. Yeah. What else should we say? We have a store now, right? twit.tv/store where you can buy a variety of Twit-themed merchandise.
You can subscribe to YouTube.
Pardon me?
Get us to 1 million.
Yeah, tell your friends. Subscribe to Twit on YouTube.
Oh, yes, and we want to get to 1 million subscribers so I can get that gold button. And if I get that gold button, I'll give some lucky viewer the silver button.
Oh, check that out. All right.
Or a donation to charity.
Or for a donation to charity. Or not. Because we're never getting a gold button. Let's just live with that, okay? Do you think they have platinum for 1 billion?
Diamond.
Diamond.
Yeah, for 10 million.
Really? They do?
Yeah, diamond for 10 million.
Wow.
Come on, set the bar high. Get the gold. Get the gold.
Go for the shooting for the. Look at that. Is it actual diamonds?
It's got to be glass, right? It's got
an actual diamond that size?
Not a chance.
We'll have to ask PewDiePie and see. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next week on the new Screensavers. Bye-bye, everybody. That was a juicy show.